So yes, like we might include question right now is that it might have been favor that might have been provided that the virus but like water that we might different percent that favor might have done that positive. So that also have most likely help when there might be what major and especially in the brain because like say from like the moment like when Spain has like shown like the boy was like the change from like the prison to cyber like at that point, I believe Sega might have been steadily stopping his fight and running back in like straight away what Sega might have done, might have been Sega's might have quickly gone up to this like drawing plate and like might have quickly drawn a picture of like the gate, the very exact gate, and Sega might have instantly recognized that gate as that gate and then gate and like he might have straight away quickly drawn the picture of like the gate I took like wrong place. And actually, this might be or due to that Savior most likely being obsessed with Black Wednesday and that even though like that Savior might be totally believing of Black Wednesday, which would have to like it being actually real because of especially with Black Wednesday like the past having specifically called out on that protocol and like basically having called out on like basically avoidance like telekinesis attack on like Savior and like the past like technically Savior might be totally absolutely weapon that jersey that like the straight doesn't have like potential. That might be like that just the good today that living through. But like Sega might be also strongly feeling that deeply that when straight going through and in this continuing investigation for the conflict, which include to getting Wednesday into that serious struggle with you along the lines like Sega as well might be doing that aspect here. Might be like that to the friends might be the reason for like Sega in like the past like trying to like get Wednesday to like stop from like following Wednesday's decisions and everything. Trying to like the reasons definitely not realistic. But like at the point like actually then more than that we have like Saber might have prioritized like like or like obsession towards like Wednesday. That like he might have figure might have decided to like basically join in on like Wednesday investigation for figure to like stealthily join in now and help out in like Wednesday Wednesday like investigations of an like Wednesday like lands or on pilot will that to the ready hope that way to meet the region this week when that day to have Wednesday like no on Taylor instead of that side of for like space like investigating of the time that way like for like usually for like Wednesday to like lose interest on side up and it me starting to that find figure in the finance so that that way so my consider like for the figure might be along the line figure might be of production or the skin then like figure might be at person might be heavily decided into like people seriously yes but that approach to like help out with like one space investigation like might be along the lines like say that might have the definitely not brain so definitely that way that Sega after that point that the tweet of that Anson gave that home after that round is like Sega himself even before like when Stay had basically gone up to that and to get and like they even before that like Sega might have integrated into that Anson gave homes and there like Sega might have seen that Mayor Walker at that point of Sega might have most likely seen that Mayor Walker like entering and so might have been like a real friend. So like Sega might have studied observe what Lagna was up might have been doing back then at like and the gates and like Sega what the reference like what Sega might have found might have been that like it might have been a scenario where like Walker might have been praying and creating false evidence in like the form of like amplification like false evidence against like most likely Jonisha might have been like the base material just so that they get appear on the platform which are actually being like the core culprit behind like the law of like like and that's an to excited creation of platform evidence like the trends of the jam might have been John Maxwell might have been told at like ample gate might be affected the level of the data and Saga might have found out about this is work on the level of privation. So that as they are going to my foundation like what of the person might have been planning on like tracking that into thinking that it's a false thing believing and the false evidence of that was again that what is might have been like the case and that way to like trick Galpin, Sir Galpin into that asking like more. might have been walk up might have planned which is like current eating that walk up had planned but that Galvin might have been actually so like don't remember the reference Sega who might have been kind of really aware of that what's about to happen might have been actually like might have that way like prevent that from like happening it might have been Sega that might have grow that yes, so that the team of students right now that like the state person like the only thing that is just enough journey to that solving that fail so trying to that luckily the job fraction so that really out of sport will be getting to that fail unfortunately the fail and so 5 years of that mistake which like Wednesdays like interested in especially might be like the activity of like the business for like what Wednesday might be really and for the discipline of like that Wednesday might be a person maybe only thinks that this leave by the time that she will be graduating from that and never know Wednesday might be a little bit of that she would have completed through that novel that basically Wednesday would be able to like everything that Wednesday sort the way until reaching that point of like trying to solving that famous control trying to of like Wednesday just Wednesday might be able to learn before for her definitely be able to succeed in doing before she graduates from now to the ideal of the lines of like the belief and confidence that Wednesday might be having with the middle of the practice. So that the entire documentation of that Wednesday's journey until when they're reaching that point of like solving the failed control scientists like Wednesday might be really planning on turning into lab to know about why current is being doing that's it. Wednesday at that point might be between that like at that point like by the time the film completing the novel Wednesday might be 20 has that as a part of that like that novel would be a huge hit and basically Wednesday might be something planning on that way that publishing that novel and basically drop at that point for like that and novel to get extremely popular and to spread across the world of the like the entire widely spread across like the entirety of the world and that way for like the entirety of like the world to know what the innocence of like the Adam family has been that the innocence of like total Christ that might be that way like the entire world will be might be along the line like the state of it might be able to agree with definitely my I'm hoping it's definitely my consideration right. Okay, so like definitely might get a good impression right now of that Wednesday that mysterious favor and so trying to get might be of meaning to Wednesday grandmother that you might get away with. So that's good. So Wednesday that can in the sense might be of that extremely like I think of extremely high priority for like Wednesday. Ever since Wednesday might have found out heard of that because that unsolved suspicious crime case might have been that getting to take the cleaner credit and also like then the grandmother might actually be considering that the which might actually be do the add on the structure and like a little bit might be like that just because the that make it the record. So that according to my Victorian version and the kind that the spirit of naturally Adam that Wednesday since another question that might be not likely in actually like the work of black like Wednesday grandmother using some sort of black feeling power that is a secret power that Wednesday grandmother might be they might be that actual to the that he might be having some sort of black feeling power and using those she might be just be interacting with black inner thing interacting with black Wednesday visions to make to frequency pain to thinking that is just like to the with that like when space like seeing things of vision might be that that's what it is to be definitely a possibility that I'm going to so therefore that the payment reaction right now is definitely for that kind of that made that galaxies like one and basically kind of totally expressing thinking out and basically come to the point of like kind of going out like still we don't know but like not and like definitely when straight away that point I'm just having kind of to that take one state to that and to gauge just like the scenario that I'm looking at that's for them to like go up to like answer gates one and say for them to let they can have let for this non they did not get on the right that which at that point would be delicate to that kind of like scenario that I'm looking on the community. And then we have to bring at that point that the kind of totally straight away realizing that like when there's like only using kind of still doing for like kind of to that still forgive Wednesday and like still deciding to that take Wednesday to like as a game with like personality that I want to do. So like along the way that while they were getting to give along the way I'm so different that just being followed by most likely that exact student car that is being described in walk of like that exact car that in which like they are still remembering that it will be like saver at the end of the saver would be stopping every moment of like Wednesday. So every time when that once like Wednesday will be still about the mentor who is still be like really like thinking out of that never not like Tyler like and that's what self in favor as well is that we speaking of kind of and getting into that very exact car and then the falling of the levels of neural interaction. And likewise for figure, like the only thing like figure to mind and the thing that you must need to separate Tyler and Wednesday somehow. And that will like putting that saver that thing pouring them basically at that point I'm preparing for like when someone like we telling Tyler to like stop the car. And basically then they go Tyler to like stop the car. But like at that point I'm putting that other car of like this might be of like say that I can straight away right now straight away sometimes then it's like scenario that and this is what I'm trying or take them and straight away buying off the like scenario that but like when that car could not like they still having that black painted closet so like actually when staying or being able to like see who's in that car with like the scenario that so like that way the statement kind of that concerning the journey and basically making it to like empathy again present with at that point of the putting that kind of out of the protection like the study that that because like kind of might be only that's one thing that would be exactly what I can say to be shown around that kind of so Sailor would be having that idea that during that like that exactly would be like the place where like so like they are Sailor at that point like trying to take advantage of that the whole element of that the situation to that to give that as first step so that silent and the stamp that way to like the person that Sailor attending is like most likely through is about to mention about this you can remember that like Sega most likely might be having like a lot of electrons on to like so like Sega either using that show that study to that yeah from the thing that out of that and to get things like Sega could be more by the time like Wednesday and that I love moving it to like and get place like Sega already steadily hiding that car and then steadily sneaking it to that house of refuge giving that app, trying to do that app, yeah, to like kind of handles like the amount of like 1% out of that amount of so that way the concept might obtain the same thing for like pile up like some of the to be standing right in front of like the stair pile up and like space like the scenario that I was trying. So like at that point so from the spring like most likely some reality like breaking into that house of like and we get and basically, at that point, felt like I'm offering like figure and like amount of home that is the escaping from and leaving that option like and to get then scenario that I'm totally correct. And at that point, I was totally correct on like gas to be extremely rate but like style up. And when stand with the gas threatening when stay to like stay away from kind of that scenario that I'm against gas for that style up and let's say to get into like getting embrace can be like straight away taking that when they to that and the staff to that now academy they can at their second spring that means for the waiting yeah along with that comes like scenario that I'm about it and them connecting giving that punishment to that one type of like breaking the rule and I'm going to for like the punishment most likely being to clean like the one whole day to that clean that same piece of that then I was academy building. That was an art that I'm going to take that made a punishment for like Wednesday. So that I'm told the one that Wednesday is making things that so it that was an art that I'm going to take and my computer game still from the manufacturing of the like before like things that can to get to like see the would be like most of them from the manufacturing will be showing up and trying to like scare and separate like Wednesday and side on like just before that and so the things on like Wednesday like we have it when I come with it. And in that vision I'm going Wednesday maybe like like seeing well like walk up in like the past like blackmailing like Anton Gates that but like basically about like the poison and basically that way like walk up like basically like hearing advocates to like help walk up to like the mayor that such a scenario like different like proven situation like and that happening at like the very home of like and some kids like because my different kind of different such position that can explain having while touching some object from within like hand gates home is that feelings with what the scenario that I'm looking at the today. That way, according to the information, while that embrace Calvin is taking Wednesday back to that from that anti-Galvin into the top back to that back to that normal academy along the way that from that Wednesday doing have to go maximum to that convince Calvin about her vision and about like the about like what the team such turbulent uh, but I can explain that as in definitely refusing to that, not ignoring Wednesday, refusing to that to the Wednesday and that Wednesday to figure as a to that company calculating iteration that the way that calculate like living the scenario that I'm going to train and so that that way the my president was probably like such an in the scenarios of like things feeling that after punishment in that Wednesday so that please instead of that's the academy and like Wednesday simply given that job to that thing to the and basically thing who might be like an expert at like cleaning might be like the work job or cleaning the tendency of like that about more academy and like that way one that means will be usually like deciding like set up the phone like my stand would be like expecting to like find extremely tired and exhausted Wednesday from all the from like cleaning like being slowly talking Friday like already like ten days like when or more academy perfectly clean and spotless and basically Wednesday till in order to exhausted and still open up that and that way that team like yeah realizing that Wednesday full of like some trick and basically some strategy and basically being telling senior race frustrated at that point and like when say like the when the finale that was about the bring on sitting. Okay, so that was me right the very question right now. Answer you to like the same bar right down to walk up the door walk up came the camera like that one like that just like just was on like in the back and like in the about that and he might have shown get to this like walk up just like secret home within like family like might be like the name like name friend. So like what reason the person might be aware of the like secret homes and might be the reason for like and recently like Walker you know like necessarily about the method of like they could have friend or big friend the vision of like the culprit behind like the of like and to get and just like family like so like the evidence for like the almost like abstain like the step back something to like as that limited on friends to like totally frame the picture that way like I'm most likely walk up recently while entering like their get might out actually that didn't like for evidence in that frame of picture and might have kept that evidence in that exact secret door like the family like like the house of like and it might be like that evidence to get the name of like well it might be the remote of like the can just being wrong might be actually walk up that might have lit up like the can in like the middle of the night anything like the recent days might have been to for that song about evidence to that secret. So might be that activity there is that new reference. So like we are looking right now for like Wednesday without the great delay or like Wednesday group of like Wednesday I love as well as that anything like finding yeah, more evidence like again like more that's up in that secret like we against taking which that's still now that we are not putting so that actually according to my comprehension like water plant might have been to that definitely in that meeting with like gathering the work like almost about to happen like at that point like water plant might have been to like definitely tell Galvin about like if you put on the pay attention in front of that water in front of like Galvin and basically to tell Galvin about like the finding of this like secret or like secret secret door and secret home at like AnselGate home actually finding all this like evidences against like total evidences against like what is hidden in that secret home in like AnselGate home coming into like the lot of like AnselGate and it's like family. Then that way to through gas to like get notice and basically also to like that way connect like Wednesday as well to like the take recent take out of like property as well that one of my doubt will direct to that to all the thought taken exactly and like that exact secret room where like the picture of like the Joseph Christ forces and we evaluate like connect like that what this might be roughly that Anton gave most likely having the like absolute being like an absolute fallout for lens of restaurants being like trying to make that appear as a like being improved the background coupled with like zone of like as well seeing that as a triggering factor in like that basically simple due to like the connection between like the restaurant and like the Harrison being from like the bump like this that being this really being like that as the reason for like more Fisher as well as Wednesday things down from like the Adam family having that as to towards like towards like the uh, towards like Anson Gate and to the family. And that way that what's something that's right and basically Wednesday that taking out like a lot of ready to because like what the ready myself in about to like concept about like the secretly accepting right from that to hide like the personal information like no that are taking out like the Anson Gate family quite really, I know, saline like and areas like of really just like about to like take that consumption during like the exact like current weekend time period like Wednesday, I know with like the most and we just start really being like the ones that had taken off so that really has got to partly make such a sort of exercise and post these like evidence like spot evidence level to make such a false train of like tendency of like elderly and to the like tendency of like the family possible behind some might be along the lines of like what might have been like the plans of like yeah what was the different yes that me my taking very interesting right now definitely for like say that 2030 like that's country sneaking in to like the outer country hit in homes of profit and basically say that like attacking like kind of those that point in like the ground floor like what's in our that and at that point itself like I'm different that while at that point itself I'm different like West as well as like anything last year like the spring of like kind of and basically earlier rushing down to like the ground floor like in that them with the thing so helping that basically that saving that making that understand basically straight away and that's going like the most of like breaking down like the walls of like the cancel game and home and in this meeting. It's like the scenario that I'm with it and met the remember. So let's say that the only point right now that like well like rating is to stay while at like during it might have been extremely close to like the home of like and building of like and games might have been like the activity of the games that made them create definitely like so that's the best film made as well as like fire with rain like the dialogue of like questions like fire with rain instead of that like basically in that figure thing like the dialogue feel different like in the uh so that the fleet model might be all part of like Congress like training or like against like officials to like government to like to totally train the product like culture behind like the takeout of like operating as well as like the Anthem Gate and then might be along the lines like was might have been making or that for evidence or that the written day at like the house of like Anthem Gate might have been left the game given to so like according to like Congress plan like we might have been planning on failing Galvin that basically that Wednesday and like as well as like the during that the parents weekend and basically like the middle of the night and basically sneaked out of like Megamo and basically uh basically had like entered into like the abandoned home of like Hanson game and basically the like having the ocean conflict intent to prevent it and prevent like probability from like making that absolute confession against like the family and we knew that like they stayed in like the middle of the night, like they showed up to that family showed up to and against smoke and stayed down and basically took their time and planned there and like and again in like the middle of the night and squad race and once the squad was done like then like to flee around like the hope of like and again to flee made their way to like the field of this might be close by and see like that place where like already a concentration might have been staying that it's definitely my friend. That's definitely can be up making my lesson that badly made it in like the middle of the night to infiltrate that the players were like already was staying at they had taken and suddenly had taken off that was maybe to like to like partly frame like the other family that which might be the root of like the and they I was feeling that the way it was definitely my experience and that huge change the game and brain. It is good that according to my particular impression of the nothing for like when space like current investigation and like and to get so eventually ended up with an Wednesday of that we maybe come to such a conclusion that like uh, uh, about like saying that they are walk of like or framing against like the having family constantly that the take out of the as well as like the and to get and along the lines of the Wednesday comes down to the numbers now. And so that from that point on, I was conduct Wednesday along with like that like Tyler as well as like anything like anything like undoing or the uh redoing or that for evidence and basically like it's like by morning is like the scenario that are different then all after him that aspect according to like undoing all the for evidence and basically by the time it would be morning like and the things then being done with like everything suddenly by the time Wednesday will be sneaking back into like November, like in the spring, like the next day, like in the spring, like Wednesday, most likely finding out from like getting a thought from like Tyler without necessarily like north next day morning and like at that point like Tyler telling Wednesday about like the news about like Walker having got taken out and succumbed to like the injury that having not been money it's like the scenario that I'm looking at bring another 300. So that way like the Jericho getting a map is like after one of that still the scenario that I'm looking at I'm on three. Oh, so like to get the reference in that lecture might be two monsters like the monster concept look like counter two types of parts which might be the either that kind of might be either symbol or like being the secondary explanation while like the monster that uh, might that attack point might have yet at say the name of the brand. So like the name of the brand person that like it might be either symbol or like things that might be like currently like the most of that like right now shaping that when spent and anything that I can get might be the identity might that monster might be the symbol or like the villain frame. And that's what I, how they might have found out about that when space that opens at the cancel games how and person like it most likely might just throw the drawings of like the gate of that and the gate out uh which they might have had like by sneaking out of that never more like which they might have had that drawing of like the gate or like when space stable might have been like the gate stuff in so like fountain might have like step take like the middle of the night like check up on that Wednesday and might have at that point of they found that Wednesday as well as that uh as well as that anything might have been what might have happened as well in the direction. You like Songhill at that point might have seen black the throwing of black answer gate the gate of black answer gate so at that was disabled at that point at that point it might have straight away quickly inform it might have been what might have happened so like at that point what the end of it might have been quickly informing and informing black pinball and pinball part of it to like a modern it's like pinball it's like the Rico pinball which they are thinking to like modern and it's basically going up to like AnselGatesHome which might have been that the or like the of that and the price that might have happened. So like I'm being more about that like the current monster that's like taking one step might be pinball rather than being the game and so definitely I'm different that it might be definitely according to like so definitely I'm different that and present that quite a perfect that where I'm walk up as well as that sorted frames as well as symbols might be having even while most like they might be having like the very same joke of like bring it down like that and they might not be aware of it. It's definitely they might not be aware of each other having that very exact word might be like that joke if anything that is and according to my inspiration there might be absolutely no teamwork at all in activity between like Walker and like inbound win fill up on it person might be like so you're feeling to do the lead might be the revenue. So like the game is trying might have been sitting the web string that might have been a mistake or that might have rolled the car. Maybe it will like also recreate that experience and skills for like let's say to like travel check like as it gets home when like on stepping into like enthusiasm of like the very first thing that Wednesday would be seeing is like that exact sound might be around the line made like a figure might have planned and to try to like park the car that they had like enthusiasm because like Saber might have already or the friend might have already come back stuff might have already seen that was up uh even before next day to like enthusiasm and like Saber might have still be done that concept of like and the gates home and might have seen little purpose of that walker at the and the gates home that they might have seen all of this and might have straight away came down to the conclusion that basically like the what would have been being exactly response framing against like that and then Wednesday. In middle of the next Saber might have came down to the conclusion of that. But like Saber might have not wanted to that and Wednesday straight away by Sailor is that getting rid of that the false evidence against them and the trans and the unlike the house of black unlike the house of black entities. It's a like bigger method that is like stealthy and Wednesday out only through like the car engine might be around the line like Sailor might out there because like the much like but Sailor exactly like Sailor itself might have only figured it out. If the situation and like and the case when like Sailor might have enough to be confident that like the Wednesday as well definitely he might be able to like figure it out and would be that figuring it out and getting rid of all this like thoughts might be around the lines like for the Sailor might have felt for like Sailor might have left it for like Wednesday herself that figure it out and doing this demonstration. But like Sega might have still just lack the basement of like and the game room and like the store car and like the basement, the clean and the finish. So that they are whispering that the moment keeps and the league with as well as the board that counting like according to that their separate plan. This might have been extremely similar to that form of plan to separately frame Wednesday as like being like the monster uh, being like the identity of like the monster and basically by storing all this like parts at like the exact house of like and the that might have been like the plan of like the ending so that it might be the reason for like the monster at present like chasing Wednesday at like cancel game so it might be solely to that chase Wednesday away before like Wednesday could get to like of like the evidence crucial evidence of like the part and like and to get to that sure before that we like change Wednesday out of like AnselGatesHome and then to like basically transport and move those parts from like AnselGatesHome to a different location and to like re-strategize and to change up like the plan to like to a different method or change to like in another way to like frame the sky like the Aaron's families might be along the line like games or like games or like the border person might be they having like the intent of while being in like the month of them and might be like that to the different so that they will like Wednesday the I know very Wednesday to like the original to get like Tyler but like I'm bring that the very next day morning like I'm bring that Wednesday that league straight away meeting up with like Galpin and basically that league getting Galpin to or let them through Wednesday calling Tyler like Wednesday definitely telling Tyler to like bring Galpin as one of to that as a game home and basically to show that crucial evidence of like the parts at like game home. So like that way I'm looking that most likely I'm looking from Chile by the time Galpin will be showing up. So I think it is more like I'm going to putting that the fun will be able to take the second that one at the camp game home. That the scenario that I'm looking to bring a yes, so that my book during sitting on this definitely might be having a no intention at all to that ever expel Wednesday from that more of the academy unless it's that through another of that Wednesday was definitely might be your emerging. Definitely might be weeks as well as that content as well as in the plan from right from the start definitely might be your emerging and giving up. So that definitely the success and I do the that have to take acting in front of that Wednesday that's it. That means that's okay. Forgiving Wednesday and expelling Wednesday might be like that with the particular brain. Also, certainly my very interesting right now is certainly for like anything left to like work out and turning to where without much delay that the in like the campaign is like seeing scenarios that are doing it. So then the split between like an similar and like Wednesday and like that friendship getting stored and the spring one then happening through that. almost likely anything that without delaying or particular place like turning to a warehouse and like so we lose control and most likely while anything that most likely would be like the presence of that would be most likely good that age as like I'm the friends when that I'm the friends that in the middle of my like anything that would be like while staring at like the most children that can anything that like working out and turning into like a work when they saying out age as like now I'm losing control and then now losing control and trying to grow and process like things in our planet so like anything that eventually like ending up like at the next stage like finding out about like the loss of like Ajax without realizing anything what anything that had done that changes in our that have over like so that way like I was wondering that to be around that time that I'm like Wednesday finding out about like the culture behind that the loss of Ajax the anything and definitely I'm different like at that point I'm different like anything that being be heartbroken and being distraught and heartbroken identity at that point that like anything that would be at some low point uh, at that point is when I'm looking for in that Wednesday should be deleting there after that or like anything that and Wednesday I'm looking for in that putting in that effort into like anything that from that point on that to be able to like not only hiding that uh, the hiding what like anything that at some something that that but also that I could demand direction that when there will be ensuring to like as soon as possible that they anything that we able to like control of like in that given the scenario that way that the friendship between that Wednesday and that getting eventually getting us so things that given the scenario that all the thing and the yes, like according to my person, very often that I'm thinking about it, that you Wednesday has put my day of the other and it might have been while walk up might have been one that's way to that for the train Wednesday and by breaking the calculate to that for to train Wednesday but and like that it's with like or also like false evidence that like this kind of thing was be created by Walker and like as against like but then like that is something that might be at that point that basically might have been the plea that was the principles might have been the that thing on to like my presence that like might have been a plea favor himself that might have created the accident involving Walker suddenly might have been the so that for the might the figure impression and for the it might be saver that might have tried and that walk up and like even if it's not certainly not the relation because like figure might have only expected for like that accident to certain that walk up getting taken out might have been such a case certainly not the relation. Although the policy might have very interesting that and considering that might be we for being as well as that concept that might have taken like the separate item like the photos of Black Wednesday and Wences family remembering and even the case of like the recent photo that is so it might be thought in that might have taken like the recent photo of Black Wednesday so like Silas and anything that the legal rendition. But since like not in the dawn from that and that song might out of me uh, that might have seen while Wednesday might have sneaked out from up might be that we're just ready to do the clearance and government might have had that strong feeling that they believe that Wednesday might sneak out that night. So at that point that might have been doctor that might have get the last call of Wednesday and anything there and that once they go into that title it might have doctor that might have steadily took like the photo that extent photo might have been like the case but then might have just being on track to that Wednesday and might have seen like the photo like the of like the kind of like the drawing of like the gate of like and the gate's house might have been like the gate of the brings so like doctor might have instantly recognize that case drawing up like and the gate drawing up and the gate home and that way like doctor might have straight away some more that came down to the numbers assume that like it might be exactly like answer gate homes that like Wednesday might be at approximately might get on like on the might straight away came down to the numbers of the might have been one might have just on can so like straight away that doctor might have called queens like so like at that point, when the different for different like either queens or like Tony might have like a serious soccer from like whenever more academy to and against him about which like neither Tyler nor Wednesday might be aware of the event premise. So that certainly Tony along with that things might have taken that shortcut and on the car obviously they might have to be way before that Wednesday. and kind of in similar made to second to get things like different like not in that things might have made the might have been more very happy with the and thought it might have been thrown photos and that might have been a really strategy by thought and being to that use that photo as like a warning for like an eventual scenario where like when stage like investigation gets to ahead like at that point to like use that photographs that to do that approach there to like when stage to possibly stop from that continuing when stage like investigation through that approach there due to that approach here like easily such a strategy like you know, so that means that like so it might have planned while um, plan recently might have been already that happened the moving train. So like that way that to execute that plan like a that only that they might have taken the purpose and that way like pocket endings might have made to that so like and the because and they later it might have straight away transform into get out of that which that concept that we might be like the power to like transform into like any sort of like and phosphate and it might be like active oxidation so like it might be about going to get it up of the world. So it might have transformed into a grasshopper and might have that way because that movies might have incorrect into a better of like answer games and might have quickly made to like the no and might have played both photos might have been what might have happened probably might not in the real person. So and then at the same time actually might have considered in like the area nearby area surrounding like and the hill home and might have been like total that might have been like what's out of like helping it and all this might have happened like before like how and seen had made it to like empty so the payment ranges. So like that way, even at that point, maybe a compliment promotion like pocket as well as you might have had that for or confidence of that Wednesday that they know finding that the basement had like answer games were like the store parts might be along the rest of that or offer experience as well as content might have had a supplement. So like both content as well as games might have been things just waiting for like Wednesday and team to like the exploit of the engagement for like Wednesday to like find like the photos like or at least take that item in which like the photo can like which the so it might have been most likely hiding in that exact room. Most likely in some that graph of the phone. So that might have been the case the human presentation. So definitely once that so like that way what that Wednesday took that item at that point of bring that 2 weeks to my job in especially hiding outside like mountain my job is from like the top of my job top of window my job steadily some graph from my job been able to that uh spend some sort of sacrifice that might have been what might have happened is definitely my brain is good straight away at that point that might have been when like things might have quickly accidentally runs up into a monster form and they might have quickly entered that so of mechanical game might have been what might have happened. Leave my preemption. So luckily this might have been what might have happened and like both teams as well as like Tonkin might have never expected like Wednesday to like make it to that basement of like single basement of like and to guess might have been what might have happened at the name of things.